specifically what I wanted to talk about. A veteran could go and do that. Like, you can't assume a VA loan if you're not eligible for VA.
Oh no, you can.
You can. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't have to be a veteran to assume a VA loan.
Got it. Interesting. Okay.
You're checking out the Investor Shed podcast with Nick Beveridge and Jeremy Kitchen. They're on the path to financial freedom, and they're taking their community with them. Stay tuned for the best free real estate investing advice on the internet.
Everybody, welcome back to the Investor Shed podcast. I'm Nick Beveridge, your host here with my co-host, the beautiful, the illustrious Jeremy Kitchen.
Oh, speaking of beautiful and illustrious, we got Nick Beveridge here. Nick, how are you doing? Thank you so much for the compliment.
Oh, thank you. I'm feeling pretty good.
Good.
You know what? I just took some nasal spray and I've got my nasal strip on.
Oh, yeah.
Allergy season.
Baby boys and girls, we're breathing today. We're breathing right. Speaking of breathing right, we have a really cool episode for you about breathing. No, we don't. We have an episode that we took live Facebook comments from Facebook.
Breathing was the last episode.
Breathing was the last episode. That was a good episode. This one we're talking about, we just answered some questions live on Facebook. We had a couple of really good questions come in. We deep dove into those. So it's a really good episode, kind of a variety show, if you will. And we talk a lot about our flip that just closed, our flip, turn rental, turn flip, closed.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So if you guys want more of this, please submit your questions.
Yeah.
Submit them via email or fax machine.
Fax machine's the easiest method.
Fax machine's the easiest, and we'll have that in the comments. Or, I mean, if you want to be barbaric, you could just leave it in the comments.
Yeah. How archaic.
Yeah, but we can work with that.
Yeah, we can work with that, I guess.
We love the comments, actually. Please comment. God damn it, please comment so much.
We're pretty needy, actually. If you could actually comment on everything we do, that'd be great. But yeah, stay tuned. It's a great episode. We learn a lot, and I feel like we give honest advice for honest questions, and it's a good one. So we talk about what you should be eating at the beginning of the episode, at the end of the episode. So by the time you get to the end, rewatch the episode and listen to our food advice.
We get some great advice about how to preserve your pizza.
Today, how we doing, Nick?
Doing good. I feel like we should do more introductions, though, because now we have Facebook going.
Yeah.
So I'm a real estate investor and an agent here in Coeur d'Alene. Done a lot of really different types of real estate investment deals. And Jeremy has also done real estate investment deals, but he's more of a hard money lender, and he's also a media guy.
Yeah. Hard money broker is typically what I do, but I also do real estate photography, social media client for entrepreneurs, just cool stuff like that. I wear a lot of hats. Nick and I have done a lot of deals together from the past. We actually just closed one of our deals last week. It's been pretty good. Yeah.
That was a 3-year deal.
That was a 3-year deal. We had a good time with that one. So,
yeah. Should we talk about that one briefly?
let's talk about it.
So I think it was your first deal, right?
Yes, it was. Yep.
But you were bugging me about like, hey, can I invest with you on something? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, eventually, gosh. So what I did was I came across a deal when I was with you. We were out, like, I was going to buy a well drilling business.
That's right. I remember that.
That didn't work out. Glad it didn't. But I also kind of wish it kind of did at the same time because I'm insane.
Yep.
Anyway, got a call from a wholesaler, and he said, hey, I've got this deal right in the middle of Coeur d'Alene. It's a manufactured home. You can buy it for around $215? Something like that, I think is what we got it for.
Yeah. $215, I think.
$215. It's a manufactured home on real property right in the middle of Coeur d'Alene on a half acre with an ADU.
Yep.
And they said it was an easy fixer, like just cosmetic, maybe carpet and paint. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. Send me the deal. They sent us an appraisal, and they said we couldn't get an inspection, but it was just inspected by an appraiser. Mm-hmm. Here's the appraisal report. Check it out. And it appraised for like, what, 260 or something, 280?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was actually, 280 something. The appraiser and the appraisal report didn't say anything about this house being a complete fucking disaster. Nor did the wholesaler. I mean, when we purchased this property, you used some funds that I think you were selling basketball cards and stuff.
I did a lot just to get into the deal. So I sold some old basketball cards. I had an old retirement account that had like $4,000 into it. I just liquidated that. And I asked my wife for some money too. She graciously accepted and put herself into the deal as well. So we ended up raising, I think it was $20,000 enough for the down payment. And off to the races we went.
Yeah. So that's what I asked you to do. I'm like, bring 20 grand to the table and you can get into a deal. And then, so this deal required 25 grand initially to get into. The wholesaler wanted a $25,000 wholesale fee. So we actually bought it for $190 or 185.
Yeah,
185, 190, and then we paid a $25,000 wholesale fee. Anyway, we paid less than 220.
Yep.
I can't remember if it was 210, 220, somewhere in there.
It's been a couple years now, so I don't quite remember the numbers.
I did just go over all the numbers, but I was more focused on the bottom line.
Right. What was our profit?
Yep. So anyway, we get into this easy fixer deal that we were going to either fix it up and rent it out. We weren't really sure because we hadn't been in the property yet, and it was one of the only times I ever purchased a property without getting to see the inside first.
Right.
But they just wouldn't allow it. They're like, hey, sorry, you just can't go in. You got to trust us.
It had tenants in it and everything too. We bought it in August of 2021, and then by December of 2021 is when we actually got access to the property.
Yeah. So the tenant walked us through, and I don't know how many times we fell through the floors.
At least 6. My shins are all busted up from falling
Yeah.
through the subfloors.
Scraped my poor shins.
Oh no.
Yeah, so rotted floors throughout. Like we were falling through the floors, and in the master, the ceiling was caving in.
The ceiling was caving in a lot of places in the house. It was caving in the master, one of the
master
living rooms,
bathroom.
the kitchen. It had just big bows in the ceiling, and you're like, "Ooh, this is not cosmetic."
This is not great at all. Yeah. So yeah, and also when we closed, the seller said, "Hey, there's tenants living in the backyard, and can you sign this saying that you won't hold them liable for blah 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 blah." And what we found out later, the tenants in the backyard were the sellers.
Yeah, they were the owners of the property.
So a bunch of wild stuff going on, which was fun. Well, anyway, we took complete control of that property in December of 2021.
Yep.
We realized it needed a lot more than just a quick rehab job. So we were budgeting like 20 grand.
Right.
To do flooring and paint and maybe some fixtures like light fixtures and stuff.
Sure.
But what ended up happening was we spent more like in renovation costs plus interest.
Yep.
The whole from the top of the walls up needed to be replaced. All the trusses were rotting and falling through the ceiling.
Yep.
The roof was bad. The floors, not just the floors needed replaced, but the floors under the floors.
Yeah, subfloors.
The subfloors needed replaced. It cost a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work. And by the time we had it ready to resell, we were selling it to a guy on my team for 400 grand.
Yep.
We were going to make a small profit, and it fell through. Rates started going up. We put it on the market. Somebody else gobbled it up right away. I think we had like 4 or 5 offers, and it fell through. And then we put it on the market again for like the 3rd time.
Then what happened?
And it fell through. And the reason why it kept falling through wasn't because of the condition of the property.
Right.
It was because people were having a hard time getting a loan on it when interest rates were skyrocketing.
Yep. This was 2022 when this started happening, right?
Spring, summer 2020, interest rates were skyrocketing. Loans started becoming harder and harder to get, especially for manufactured homes, because lenders just treat them different. Like they're harder to get, even though this one was real property, it was tied down properly. We had all the paperwork. It was the engineered report was fine.
Yeah.
But it was just the loan was at least an interest point higher than what most homes would go for, and it was just bad timing. So we had my property manager check it out, give us an idea what it can rent for, and the potential tenant he showed was willing to pay $2,800 a month.
Yep. And our hard money loan at this time, just for reference, we got it refinanced on a 5-year hard money note. And I think our hard money payment was $2,100 and some change. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. It was about $2,100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we
you
were
put a
cash
renter in there
flowing
for $2,700?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were cash flowing around $600 a month.
Yeah, I mean, probably like 300 after, property management fees and everything like that. But
Yeah.
still, the property was stabilized, and like, I'm super proud of the work we did on that, by the way. Like,
We did a great job.
yeah, it was a bang up job for a manufactured home in the middle of Coeur d'Alene.
And we got did you tell them that, I missed it. So we refinanced it, did a cash out refi. We did the BRRRR with a hard money lender.
Yep.
And so we had a new loan amount for two. So we left some cash in the deal, which was fine. During this time, it was not fine, but in the future, everything's fine. So
Long-term play, we both knew that if we wanted to make this work, we had to kind of leave a little bit of money in the deal, which ended up working okay. But like, it's hard to leave money in the deal.
it is.
But going forward, like, we made the right decision when we made it.
Yep. So for the next 6 months or so, it cash flowed really great. Our bank account started to build. And then the tenant stopped paying. And we weren't really aware of it either. Like I wasn't paying attention as much as I should have been to the bank accounts because it was going into a separate account. And usually, a property manager gives you a heads up if a tenant's not paying. It was just something that got missed because there's so much going on.
Right.
And then after a few months, we realized, hey, I think we're short like $9,000 in rents here.
Yeah.
And then eventually the tenants caught up a little bit, and then they stopped paying again.
Yep.
And then we had to do an eviction. But before we actually did the formal eviction, they moved out.
Yeah.
So we decided to try selling it again.
Yeah. And when they moved out too, like, the cool thing about it was the best worst case scenario.
Yeah.
They didn't damage the property at all. Everything was still in like really good condition. We had a handyman come in and just do some minor tweak ups. There was a drawer that fell off the poles, stuff like that, and had them fix that
Gas
stuff
leak,
up.
that kind of
Gas
stuff.
leak.
Plumbing issues. Buyers backed out.
Yep.
This time they didn't tell us why. They just backed out. Got it under contract a sixth time.
Yep.
And we closed last week.
Yeah.
Or the week before.
Yeah. Finally got it all done. It ended up working out pretty well. I think our total profits on that were like $52,000 after all.
50 like 51,000 ish.
Yeah.
But that was when you look at all expenses and all income. So we're talking all the rental income, all the expenses with repairs and financing fees and stuff. I mean, we paid like $50,000 in interest probably.
Oh yeah. It's a wash.
We can pull up the P&L, but we don't need to. The only thing that matters at the end of the day is that we got a lot of great tax benefits. We owned a property for 3 years. It was fun. And then we walked away with all our money back plus an extra $50,000 that we got to split 50-50.
We made all of our initial investment back, which is the most important thing, save your contributions. And then we made profit. So we went to the casino and that's all gone.
Yeah. And we were $100,000 over budget.
Yes.
And we still made money somehow. But it
was still a good deal. Like, I mean,
That's
like, even though it was
magic
supposed to be, just a cosmetic flip, like, there was enough margin in this deal that made it make sense. So,
right on.
Yeah.
All right. So we're doing questions from the audience today. That's why we're live on Facebook, and you can probably not hear us that well, but the finished quality stuff, this will go in June, I think, is when it will get aired.
Yeah.
So there's
down
a sneak,
here, and then the big guy up there. So
you get a sneak peek with Facebook. And if you're watching on Facebook, you're like, why does your audio suck? It's because we don't have any mics hooked up directly to that Facebook thing. So you just get a little sneak peek.
Yeah, just a little taste.
All right. So the first question that we got was from Carrie Lee. And Carrie asked about assumable loans. She said, not sure much how you can touch on this subject, but because I know you're not a lender, but assumable loans, can you go into that? Yeah. So, yes, we can. We actually talked about that in our episode on creative financing. It was a two-part series, and we got into the differences between assumable loans and subject to, which get confused quite a bit. But I love that you just focused on assumable loans, Carrie. I will be glad to talk about that. What an assumable loan is, that it's a feature of an existing mortgage that allows a buyer to take over that loan, legitly applying for it with the seller and the existing borrower off the mortgage, and the new buyer and borrower on that particular mortgage with those exact same terms and the same balance. Am I confusing anyone yet? Jeremy?
You're not confusing me. I know what the difference is, but it is nice to talk about and touch on. Like an assumable mortgage, just think of it this way: like if you know what sub 2 is, obviously that's taking over someone else's mortgage.
And a lot of people may not know what sub 2 is.
Right.
Yeah.
So subject 2 basically is taking over someone's on the other person's behalf, and that's basically like you're going around banks this way. And you're not keeping banks in touch. You don't have to get an appraisal. You just take over a mortgage. It's different than assumable.
Yeah, and they call it subject to because that means you're taking title to a property subject to an existing mortgage remaining in place, where you did not get permission from a bank. So that's subject to. Subject to is that's the rebel of real estate strategies.
Yeah, they're the bad boys.
It's the bad boy of real estate. So that is your it's a shady move, but it works. It's not illegal.
Right.
It is a little bit shady because you're breaching a contract with an existing loan out there.
Right.
And most banks are in a position where they're just like, we're not going to call it due because then we're making our loan bad. They don't want a bad asset. If the loan is being paid, most banks are just going to suck it up and deal with it, even if you're breaching the terms of transferring title and there's a new buyer.
Right. And we say most banks because, there are some banks who just have the foreclosure. And it just
they'll
happens.
Call the note due.
Yeah, they'll call the note due. Yeah, excuse me. But it is something just to watch out for. Like it's not illegal, like what Nick said, but it is a little bit shady.
Yep. And I've done it before. I've done it 7 or 8 times. So we're not just speaking in theory here. I've actually purchased 7 or 8 different homes on subject to. It's a legit strategy. It works. And most of the time, the due on sale clause is not an issue because what they want is they want their payments made.
Right.
Now, but we're talking about assumable loans. And this is where the seller has identified maybe that their loan that they have, whether that's an FHA, a VA, USDA, or some sort of, which most conventional loans are not assumable.
Right.
So if you're going to learn anything here, just know that. Most conventional mortgages are not assumable, but if it's FHA or if it's a VA loan, USDA,
yep.
Those are all government type, sponsored loans or government loans. Those are assumable. Now, that doesn't mean that anybody can just take over the existing mortgage and apply and get approved.
Right.
You still have to qualify.
Right. You have to go through the entire process of like talking to the banking, letting them know like, hey, someone is going to be assuming my mortgage. We're not doing a new thing.
Yeah. And so you're seeing that advertised a lot lately in the MLS as interest rates have doubled. It's a great little perk to offer that on a house. Let's say, you have you sold a house 3 years ago. I'm saying as an agent.
Sure.
You sold a house 3 years ago to a VA buyer and they're ready to move on to something else. You say, hey, I know your loan's assumable. Do you mind if we market it that way?
Right.
Now, does that take away from their eligibility for another VA loan? From what I've heard, it does not anymore. I heard that and I could be wrong on this, lenders out there, comment, let me know if I'm wrong. But what I heard was a new thing this year that the eligibility amount for VA loans is pretty much unlimited at this point. It used to be capped around 400 and something thousand.
Sure.
And then it went up to, I think, 600 something when the market started going crazy. But the new, if that loan gets assumed, I believe, from what I've been told, a veteran could go get another VA loan. Hey, quick commercial break here. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really do appreciate it. If you want to give back, let me help you buy a house, or I can help you sell a house. It's the only way I make money when I'm not investing in real estate. I don't make money on this podcast or the events I do, but I do make money only when I help people buy and sell houses. So if you're looking for your next investment and you're here in North Idaho, I want to help you personally. If you are not in North Idaho, I can still help you out. I have a vast network of referral partners all across the country in Keller Williams Realty, and I can find the right real estate investor savvy agent for you so you don't have to. It doesn't cost you a thing. Thank you for your support. Back to the show.
Specifically what I wanted to talk about, a veteran could go and do that. Like, you can't assume a VA loan if you're not eligible for VA.
Oh no, you can.
You can. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't have to be a veteran to assume a VA loan.
Got it. Interesting. Okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong on that, lenders, but from what I know is that you could assume a VA loan without being a veteran. You just can't originate a new one.
Sure. Okay.
But you can take over an existing one.
That makes sense. Okay. And then so for the VA, if they, they get an assumable loan, they sell their property on assumable note, they can go get another VA loan because basically the bank sees that as not their priority or not their financial obligation.
I'm 80% certain that is correct.
Okay.
Let me know if I'm wrong, lenders. Please get
We're
down
rocking
on
in the
this.
80% scenarios today, ladies and
80%.
gentlemen.
I've got a lot of confidence here,
Yeah.
but I could be wrong because I'm not a lender.
Right.
Anyway, hopefully that helps, Carrie. Thank you so much. Wendy out there asked, "Hey, where's the no strips?" Wendy, we're not going to let you down. We've got them right here. We're going to
It's
put them
so
on.
funny that you talk about that, Wendy, because we had these no strips before you even commented about the no strips. We've been talking more about no strips and how to get everybody. Let's see, put it right on the brim there.
There we go, on
Press
the brim.
down for 10
Oh, I
seconds.
screwed up. I didn't get on
Wow,
the brim.
what a dummy.
Well, I'm not looking in a mirror. It's easier when I'm in the mirror.
My nose is so big, I just put it right dab in the middle. Bam.
How's mine look? Yours looks great.
Awful.
It's awful. Should I go down
it
more?
looks pretty good. You look fine.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks, Wendy. No strips are live on the podcast for you today.
Yeah, you bet, Wendy. Thank you so much. All right.
The no strips are great, by the way. If anyone, we're not sponsored by no strips, but if you have trouble sleeping or snoring at night, these things will stop your wives from wanting to kill you.
My wife still wants to kill me, but maybe
so.
slightly less.
Yeah, slightly less. I love it.
Slightly less. All right. Now, Emma, I'm going to see. Okay, what strategy should people be considering these days? This is from Emma Greenwood. Mm-hmm. What strategies should people be considering these days since cash flow is so hard to come by?
I love this question.
This is the question of the decade.
Of the 10 minutes, at least.
The 10 minutes.
decade
and
question.
Jeremy's going to answer it.
I'm going to answer the entire thing. No, I think this question, Emma, it goes down to a lot of things. So it goes down to 1, personal risk. It goes down to 2, what you plan on doing and how you plan on growing. There's so many strategies in real estate investing. It's so easy to get caught up in that shiny object syndrome. What should you be doing? What should you be focused on? The answer is, what are you comfortable with? What do you want to do? I know cash flow is hard to come by, especially in Coeur d'Alene. There's ways to combat that. Obviously, if you put 100% down on a loan, you're going to be cash flowing really well, but it's hard.
Then you don't need the loan.
Then you don't need the loan, exactly. But then you'll be cash flowing great. So in my mind, what I'm trying to do right now is I am trying to build up my cash reserves so I can invest better in the future. That's what I'm doing, and it's all, again, up to personal risk. I'm trying to build up my investment account, so I'm building up my IRAs. I paid off my entire HELOC, so now we've got this big credit line available to invest with partners, with lending, things like that. So I've got that available, got my IRA going, personal savings going. Just, again, building up those personal assets so I can invest smarter in the future. Now, you're asking, what should other people be doing? I would say wholesaling is a great place to start. And I know, Emma, you can vouch for this as well because you do some wholesaling. It's a great way to start without a lot of cash in the game. But not everybody wants to be a wholesaler. Not everybody wants to door knock. Not everybody wants to go and find deals. People want to actually get funding for deals. And again, you can do a lot of things. You can partner with other people. If you've got cash and you don't know what to do, use your cash as a joint venture in a partnership and let your contractor and the investors take it and make money, right? Again, there's a lot of different ways you can start, but I think wholesaling like you're doing is a really, really good place to start.
Totally. And I do have more to add to that. But it's funny. I just got distracted. I was pulling up our Facebook live feed and look, it's just going in and out and in and out. So yeah, I think it's automatically trying to zoom in and out. So maybe we'll stop the Facebook feed. I don't know. What do you think?
Let's stop now.
It just stopped itself. Okay. Maybe I'll just stop paying attention to it.
Yeah, stop looking at it. People will watch it or they won't. Your wife asked when we went to the casino.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
So Emma, what Jeremy said aligns perfectly with what I was going to say too. Cash flow is something that I totally avoided over the last 3 years, and it's what almost totally sunk me. All I was chasing was deals that made sense on paper, whether it cash flowed or not. Does it have equity? Is it a 70% deal? Say yes. Eventually, we're going to rent it out or sell it anyway. And cash flow is something that I just can't negotiate with anymore.
Right.
If a property doesn't cash flow, you need to move on. And that does mean that you'll have to look at a lot more deals to find the property that does cash flow. But I mean, it's also how much cash are you willing to put down? Because the more cash you put down, the more the property will cash flow.
Right.
So sometimes you just gotta suck it up and do something you don't really want to do, because we've all been so spoiled the last decade.
We have.
I say the last decade. It's already been, I guess, high interest rates have been a thing for a couple of years now.
Sure.
But it's funny, when I got into real estate heavily in like when I was an agent, I looked around and everything was cash flowing all the time.
Yeah.
Even if you got a loan, at 93% or 96% FHA loan with mortgage insurance, you can still buy something and it would rent for more than what the mortgage would be.
You could kick a raccoon and it would hit a cash flowing property.
Yeah. For the most part. Yeah. Now, it's up to a certain price point. The bar to entry for cash flow has been risen quite a bit. It doesn't mean that it's impossible, but you don't want to just jump into a deal that doesn't cash flow just for the sake of investing in real estate, because then you defeated the whole purpose. You want to try to purchase something that cash flows no matter what, and sometimes that just requires more cash down.
Right.
You want to get into a position where you can do it again. And that's the whole point of real estate investing 101 is how many can you buy? Right. Now, if you buy a property in Coeur d'Alene and you put 20% down and it's only negative by $200, but maybe on your taxes you're saving that. And it makes sense if you look at it annually, and then you can try to convince yourself that this makes sense. This is going to improve my retirement. Right. This is going to be paid down by tenants. I'm going to get all the depreciation benefits of it. It's only $200 a month up front, but what it's paying for in the long run is going to be outweigh that, blah, 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 blah. But how many of those can you do? Right.
It's not a repeatable process.
Yeah. You can't go out, can you buy 10 and lose $2,000 a month? It's just for the sake that, most likely down the road, you'll make a lot more. I mean, no. But if you can find a property that makes $10 a month, how many of those can you buy? Right. How many? Yeah. Can you buy as many as you can get your hands on? Right. So that was from the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. Yeah. But they talk heavily on cash flow about that. The property has to cash flow monthly, or I wouldn't recommend doing it, because I almost lost everything I had by not following that rule.
Right. Like I said, there's many strategies that you can kind of employ to make your cash flow better. And again, like some of that's employing the use of, cash partners, right? If you're bringing cash into a deal or you don't have cash, like just find somebody who does and see if they want to partner on a deal with you. And it might cash flow because they're willing to put this bigger amount than you can put in on the deal, down on the deal, and help you get it so you guys can both cash flow and win.
Yeah. So you're asking what strategies, and I know all we basically said was more cash. And that's probably a cop-out answer. I mean, you're going to want to hear more than that. Right. I mean, other strategies is looking at multifamily. Yeah. I mean, the fourplexes and up. Now, I would try to stay away from 5 to 16.
Big old commercial boys.
Now, this is all theory because I'm not a multifamily investor, but from everything that I've consumed and what I've seen and advice from older people, like you got to go more than 16 units if you're buying heavy multifamily for it to cash flow long term and be able to have on-site management and to properly run that business. So I would, if you're going to go to the commercial world, try to go 16 plus units.
I think it goes back to too, like finding what you want to do and really utilizing that strategy to get you cash flow, because like you've been talking about, like, commercial multifamily is completely different than residential. It's just, you find something you're interested in, because, again, there's a lot of shiny objects out there, and it's so easy to get distracted with like, oh, you're right, maybe we should go into multifamily investing. Maybe we should do this. There's cash flow options everywhere. And again, just find something you love doing and that really speaks to you as an investor and really like nail down your strategies, nail down your standard operating procedures, and find deals that make sense based off your criteria there.
Yep. And I'll talk about another. Well, I guess I'm experienced a little bit now in the RV park world.
Yeah, you are.
So I got into a partnership with my brother about 2.5, 3 years ago. Partnered with him on this RV park that was kind of failing out in Osborne's. 23 sites to it, water and power hookups, has a dump station, and had the opportunity to build bathrooms. It took a while because we were trying to do this with extra cash flow.
Right.
But eventually we got the bathrooms built, the laundry built. We did the coin operated laundry.
It's a good looking facility now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And once it was all ready to go last summer, we had our property manager off site trying to field all the calls and coordinate this thing. And it just ran into the ground. I mean, they had one tenant out of 23 sites. And then that tenant was scared off by homeless people constantly trying to get into bathrooms to sleep and just causing a mess.
Yeah.
Eventually, I was able to find a guy that was willing to live there with his wife. He was just sold his home. Older guy, Bill, and he seemed like the right guy for the job. I mean, he just wanted to stay busy, doesn't have a job, wants to live for free.
Yeah.
And just came into some cash and wants to just live a simple life with his wife and take care of this RV park. And so I got him in place. We came to a fair agreement of, okay, I'm not going to pay you anything until we get to 40% occupancy.
Right.
And then there's a sliding scale of flat income from there, but you get to stay there for free. For now, I'm going to field the calls and I'm going to set up a system where people can book online, but you're going to watch things.
Right.
You're going to make sure that the park is in good shape and it's clean. And so it's only been 4 or 5 months now, but it's actually going really well. We're only at 8 units that are month-to-month rentals, but it's starting to cash flow.
And is there 17 total? How many was there?
23.
23. Okay.
And we're getting calls on it all the time. And a lot of bookings for the summer. There's nightly and weekly bookings.
You're almost to that 40% occupancy.
We're there now.
Yeah, I love it.
So if you include the weekly and nightlies.
Sure.
But it's great. The difference was we have an on-site manager. I wasn't able to, if I didn't have the ability to pay an on-site person, this place would be run to the ground. But because there's enough spaces and we worked out a good deal to where there's a sliding scale of compensation for him and he gets to stay there for free, the place is actually run really smoothly. Yeah. And there's cameras. I get to see what's going on all the time.
Nice.
So far it's being run real smooth and there's extra income opportunities. There's 23 sites and we're only at 8 that are booked out right now, but now it's cash flow.
Right.
If I only had 8 sites, it would be difficult because then I got to pay this insurance that comes up here and there. I've got to pay the property taxes that are outside of closing. There's so many more expenses out there to consider. So the more
8.
What's that
For an 8-spot RV park?
Yeah, because there's 8-spot RV parks that I'm just saying if it was capped at 8.
Yeah.
I've got 23. So the income can continue to grow, but my expenses are going to stay the same.
That makes sense. Okay. Very cool. And side note, you've got a RV listing right now, don't you, with RV spots?
RV listing?
Like the one out in Kellogg?
Oh yeah, it's for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never took it down for sale. I had it up for sale when it wasn't going well. With an offsite manager, and I've left it up for sale. It's for $700,000.
Yeah, but you got a new listing that has actual RV spots.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
different one.
Yeah,
and
a different
that one has 8 spots.
Yeah, that one has 8 spots, but nonetheless.
But it also has shop space and it has a mobile home that's ready to move into. That one's an opportunity too. If anybody's looking for some creative commercial deal, give me a call because we're about to list that. It should be later this week.
Okay, cool.
We'll have that on the MLS. But that's out nearby in Kellogg. It's got 8 RV spots, plus it has like a 4,800 square foot commercial shop with multiple bays that could be rented out and a mobile home. That one's going to be listed for $750,000.
Yeah,
$750,000. That one will cash flow with an operator that knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So just going back to Emma's question, like what strategies? Like, there's just too many, and I seriously find what you need to do in order to get cash so you can make cash flowing deals. And what you're doing with your wholesaling is a great start and a great way to get your foot in the door and to build into bigger and better things. So,
Heck yeah. All right. So, Hillary wanted to know, why aren't we at the casino? Oh, it's shaking again.
gives me a migraine headache looking at that.
Yeah. You know, I felt like I've been at a casino for like 3 years with real estate as hot as it was.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. I don't get the high. I mean, like, being at a casino, I don't know, man, it does something to your mind where you feel like you have to stay more and you have to spend more. Like, I haven't actually like gambled with my money in a while.
Yeah. Should we stop what we're doing and go check it out?
Yeah, I can cancel my shoot today.
You should.
No.
Blackjack.
No, but yeah, I mean, this is, if you're gambling, you're not investing, just so people know that. Like, if you're gambling on a real estate deal, like hoping to work, you're not investing, you're speculating. And if you're speculating, you're gambling, you're hoping that it pays off. There's ways to analyze real estate where it's a no-lose scenario.
Yeah, you just need to know what you're doing.
Right.
You need to account for a lot.
Mhm.
And it helps to partner with people that are wiser than you,
Yep.
at least for the first couple of deals, so that they can walk you through the woods.
Yeah.
Jeremy, unfortunately, you partnered with me, and I didn't quite deliver, but at least so far, all of our projects have made money.
Yeah, and
Right?
you know what? Like, I mean, like, yeah, like our deals might not have went like the way they were supposed to,
No.
but I have learned so much just by investing with you. Like, everything we've invested in has like really honed in what I'm going to be investing in further, and how my operating is going to be.
Out of all the investments that we've done together,
Mhm.
which one was your favorite and why?
Which one was the favorite? I would say the one that was probably my favorite that we've done. I don't know. I have a soft spot for two in my heart. So the two that I have a soft spot for are Violet, the one that we just closed.
Yep.
Just because that was my first deal, and it was a complete shit show.
Yeah.
Like,
you know,
if you want to learn, like, get thrown in the weeds doing something like that. I was poking holes in insulation and getting sprayed in the face with like brown insulation water from a roof. That's something I'm like, oh, next time I do this, I'm just going to pay somebody.
right. But you know what? We bought it right.
We did.
And we went over budget.
Yep.
And we still
made $650 to $1,000.
Still made 50. And I know you've had those concerns before we bought it. You're like, what if, are we paying too much?
Yeah.
What if I lose money?
Mhm.
I know you had those questions and you're those concerns, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. It may not go well, but here's an appraisal for 280 something. We're buying it for 2. We're
buying money right now. As soon as we buy this, hypothetically, we should be just inheriting money.
Exactly. Like, we're making our money on the buy. We're
Right.
making our money on the purchase.
And that's important. So if you're buying real estate, you make money when you buy.
So another good strategy for cash flow is make sure that you buy right.
So that deal was one of my favorites that I have a soft spot for. Another one was the one we did with Josh Cote, that trailer.
The Bark
trailer. Yeah.
Another mobile home.
Yeah. That one was so good. Like, I feel like it was just such a win-win-win for everybody involved.
Yeah. You want to tell people about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Josh Cote he's a realtor. Used to be on Nick's team. Great guy. Love Josh Cote. And he was wholesaling.
Yes.
Yes, he was wholesaling, and he found this property. Sent out letters. Got interest on the deal. He actually got it. Got the owner of the property on the hook. Josh didn't have any money at the time, so he came to Nick.
Yeah.
So Nick was like, Nick's been doing this a long time. Nick's kind of an operator, and he knows how the gambit works. Nick kind of came in and said, what was your job on the deal? Like, you were helping just, like, figuring out the deal, right? Like,
Yeah.
how to make it make sense.
I didn't have the money, but I was able to put all the pieces together.
Right.
And sometimes there's value in that.
There's a lot of value in that.
Like, I was going through, it was just after the summer of 22, after I went through that huge blow up of like, oh, I've got 20 projects that are 50 grand over budget, and I found out a contractor didn't pay 500 grand in bills.
Whoopsie daisy.
And shit. Not a good time to be buying real estate, but hey, you're buying a property in Post Falls for 100 grand? You need help? Yes, I'll help you.
Yeah. And that one was a mobile home trailer. It was not tied down to real property, but it had the potential to be tied down. It was absolutely able, because it came with the land.
It was tied down.
Okay.
It just wasn't classified as real property yet.
Gotcha. Okay, so then we had to do a couple things then, of course, and I'll get into that. But Nick didn't want to come with any of his own money into the deal, and he realized it didn't need much of a renovation.
Nope.
So he employed me. He's like, if you pay $10,000, you can get 10% equity. And my deal, I counteracted. I'm like, I will pay the 10,000, but I want it to come out in chunks. So whenever you need it, I will pay it.
Smart on your end.
Yeah, I ended up only paying like $2,700.
Yeah, we came in under budget on a project for once.
Yeah, I paid to have the film down underneath the trailer, so it could be considered tied down as real property. The vapor barrier, excuse me. And I paid for just some dump runs and some landscaping, and my expenses were $2,700 out of that $10,000. And I said I would cap it at that $10,000, like put a cap on it.
Yeah,
my equity being only 10% needs to have a cap.
And we got a hard money loan that had the payments that weren't due for 6 months. Yep. So that's part of why you didn't have any cash out of your pocket either. Yep. Not much. Yep. Was because the interest payments on the $100,000. And
we sold it in 6 months, didn't we?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, it was within 6 months.
Yeah, because
we never made a payment.
I might have to make another $2,000 payment. What if I have to do that? It was not a big deal. I had the money.
Well, I think it would have been $6,000.
Oh, right, because we would have had to pay the last few months, correct?
Yeah, you'd have to pay all the interest that was stacking up.
Okay. But anyway, I think I ended up profiting like $13,000 off of $2,000. And my job in the contract was also to provide bodily services, clean out, basically.
Yes. So we had a joint venture agreement. Mm-hmm. So, Jeremy, you weren't an owner on the deal, but you had equity via joint venture agreement.
Yep.
So I think that's important to point out. You don't always have to have an LLC for all your partnerships. I'm not an attorney, so I'm just saying this is for me.
Great.
Works entertainment only. But yeah, so we had a joint venture agreement between myself, you, and Josh. Mm-hmm. And the deal was you bring 10 grand, up to 10 grand if needed.
Up to 10 grand.
And we want you and your bodily services to help move all the trash out of the house.
Yep.
We'll provide and in the contract, you wouldn't back up the truck.
Nope. I'm like, dude, I'm not liable for this because I'm not a big truck driver, nor nonetheless with a trailer attached.
Right.
I'm like, I will load that son of a bitch all day, but I will not drive that dump truck.
Yes.
And you signed the contract.
But I hope you guys are hearing this correctly out there. Yes, we actually had an agreement on little petty stuff because we're friends.
Fun. Yeah, just for fun.
But it's a great way to keep friendships when you're investing in real estate together because the worst it's communication.
Right.
Communication is everything. And we had pretty laid out, simple communication in a contract that we could all remember.
Right.
Because if we just talked about doing a bunch of stuff and then months go by and you're like, wait, he wasn't doing what we kind of talked about. Yep. You might have just forgot. And then I see this a lot in partnerships where there's so much tension between people because they forgot what they agreed on.
Yeah.
Because it happens. People's memories are not that great.
Right. And we've talked about this on previous episodes too, but like what Nick is saying is, we had a crystal clear contract for what we wanted. Could it have been more clear? Of course.
Yeah.
Like we could have really gotten down to the nitty gritty about what you should and what every partner's role is. And I encourage people listening or watching, like, please get crystal clear contracts on what you're going to be doing. And this is not a knock on you, but this is just how business should work, right? So if this happens, say like, if Jeremy's going to be putting in 10 grand, if he doesn't put in 10 grand or fails to comply, like he loses his equity, like just make sure you go down that line of like, okay, if this happens, here's the fail safe for this. If this happens, this is what we're going to employ instead. So then, you have your big tree of basically consequences, and then you just follow what you all talked about.
Yeah. And some people might be thinking out there, okay, that's great. So how many lawyer bills am I going to stack up coming up with all these contracts? It's 2024. There's ChatGPT out there. It's better than nothing.
It is better than nothing.
It's better than no agreements at all to just go on ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm doing a real estate deal with my buddy. Mm-hmm. Here's our names. Here's what we talked about. Here's what we all agree on. Yep. Could you also add anything to the contract that you feel might be important in a real estate joint venture agreement between friends and spit it out? And it takes 2 to 3 minutes to come up with your own contract that you guys can sign. And I promise it will be better than nothing.
Yes,
and it probably won't be as good as a lawyer, but it'll be pretty fucking close.
Absolutely better than nothing. And we've talked about this before, but also if you're new to this or you don't know what you're doing, seek professional guidance. And that's just a good protection for all of you. It's just a business expense. Like if you're trying to cut hairs over, a $600 lawyer fee, you probably shouldn't be doing a real estate deal.
Totally. All right. So we covered that.
Yeah.
It looks like nobody else wants to comment or ask questions, so we might be done.
Wow.
What do you think?
Rude. Everybody's rude.
It was so rude. Well, we did only give him a 5 minutes. Maybe we'll do this again.
Yeah, better luck next time. I like these audience questions.
How about we do this? If you're out there listening and you actually have some questions for us, go ahead and reach out to us on Facebook or the YouTube comments. Yep. We read both of those. Or you can email us. Do you know what the email is?
Love my Ryan and Dave for sure.
Ryan and Dave.
Thanks for always commenting. We love you guys. The email is theinvestorshed@gmail.com. And I could be wrong here. I'm actually going to double check.
I think you're pretty close. Or you can email me.
Theinvestorshed@gmail.com.
Or you can email me at nickbeveridge17@gmail.com. Or...
yeah, there's Jeremy. I don't know, I got like 10 emails. Facebook's great. You can Instagram me, gingersnap_media. That's where I'm most active with my real estate photography business. Yeah, gingersnapre@gmail.com. That's gingersnapre as in real estate @gmail.com. There's also, if you're looking to get hard money brokered or looking to get a deal funded, get a hold of me at tuesday@gmail.com. Looking specifically for deals in northern Idaho and Washington, but we'll analyze anything and see if we can make it work for you.
That was fun. I like hearing from the audience last minute, 5 minutes before we start. But yeah, please, we're serious. We love this. So please, if you do have a question for us, don't hesitate to reach out. Call, text, email, or comment. And we will probably do it on the next episode.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Love you.
Love you so much.
Before you go, what should people be eating for lunch?
Oh, what should people be eating for lunch? If you have any pizza that's been sitting in your fridge for a maximum of 3 days, I would recommend eating pizza that's been in your fridge for 3 days.
Okay, so I like to use the gallon trash bags. Ziploc bags.
Okay.
And I throw the pizza in there, and then I just throw it in the freezer, and then I don't have to worry about it going back.
Genius. I don't think I've ever frozen pizza that I've...
Really?
I've never done it.
Game changer, everybody.
You heard it here first. If you love leftovers, throw some pizza in a trash bag.
Trash bag with the Ziploc logo, and you're off to the races, guys.
Yeah, get yourself some stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. This episode is not sponsored by stuffed crust, but damn it, I love it if it would be.
Dude, Pizza Hut's quality has gone down.
I don't care. Their price is still the same.
They're so thin.
Have you gotten stuffed crust lately?
Yeah, it's just not the same.
Okay, get a Papa Murphy's then if you want.
All right, guys. You heard it here. Get a Papa Murphy's if you want.
Also, since you're here, and if you're watching on Facebook still, even though it's jittery, you can follow us on The Investor Shed at Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We release episodes every Thursday at 5 in the morning. Now, this is going to be a great way for you to get investing news, and if you find the information helpful, please leave us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We love reviews. So please, do us a favor, help us get traction on the show, and leave us a review or tell your friends about it. Be like Ed Milet and tell everyone.
Max out your life, everyone.
Max out your life. We love you.
Bye.
What's up, North Idaho people?
Hello.
Hey, we've got an amazing real estate seminar coming to Coeur d'Alene here later this year. We want to tell you about it so that you'll hurry up and buy tickets.
Yes, get your tickets. The amazing Kathy Fecky is flying in. AJ Osborne, the king of self-storage, is flying in.
Steve Rosenberg, y'all know him, he's muscly. Brad Chandler, changed your life. Tom Millwright, man of the hour. Get a free book too when you sign up. Quickly, do it before the end of the month and you'll get a free book.
Thank you so much for checking out the Investor Shed podcast. If you enjoyed your time, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow along on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at The Investor Shed for shorts and promos about each episode. Do you want to be a guest or know someone who has great real estate investing advice and stories? Reach out to us at theinvestorshed@gmail.com.